Good morning, friends. I'm sitting here petting Harley, who is right beside me, who you can't see right now. It is early morning on Thursday, June 19th, otherwise known as Juneteenth. I have the day off today and tomorrow because tomorrow's my regular day off, and I'm also taking Monday off because this is my birthday weekend. So I decided to take an extra day off. I don't have any special plans. What I thought I would do is make kind of a birthday weekend vlog for so that we can celebrate together. So today I am waiting for my tea to brew. This is my second cup of tea. And I am sitting here knitting and watching YouTube. I am knitting on my backlit tea sweater in my crocheted by me, float tote, and watching YouTube. I have been binge watching Nitty Natty, Love and Stitches. So I'm up to episode 50, I think close to 50 from the beginning of her when she started podcasting in 2018. I think episode 50 is in early 2020. And if you have followed her along for a while, in this stage of her life, she is newly married and is a teacher in an elementary school. She is a reading specialist in Texas. And what I am most looking forward to is, and of course you remember early 2020, this was before the global pandemic. COVID-19 arrived in the US, and it actually started here in Western Washington. So I am curious how her life changes during the pandemic, as all of our lives changed, I think, and whether or not she documents that. I am also keeping up with her current travels, her current episodes, and she and her husband, Kent, are traveling across Canada in their van with their dog Toaster. That has been really fun. It's been a fun way to start the morning and knit. By the way, speaking of knitting, I am wearing my Exploration Station shawl. This is a pattern by Stephen West. I believe it was probably one of his shawl knit-alongs. I just knitted it outside of that normal fall event that he holds. I really like this. I love the colors. It's Knit Picks. It was the first time I did brioche, and he explains it very well. So I think if you go back and if you haven't knitted brioche and you would like to, this would be a great way to do it. One thing I love about his patterns is that he explores all kinds of different types of stitches. Lace, brioche, there's, it's kind of it's like a ribbing, but it is horizontal rather than vertical. I don't know what he calls his stitch. Anyway, I love wearing this shawl in the morning when it's still pretty cool. I am also wearing my Marley t-shirt, Ryan Rose Horsemanship. I'm a big fan of his training style with horses, and I think one of the things I will do today is practice the monthly challenge that he offers to patrons. And I have to admit that this challenge should be pretty easy for Odin and me because it is one of Odin's favorite things to do, and that is to stop. I am also going to have a regular podcast this week, so some of this may be repetitive, or I may include this vlog in that. I'm probably not. I'm just going to have a regular podcast. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on too long. The other thing I plan today is to go to knit night. I've been trying to go to knit night for a couple weeks now. It's Thursday nights at my local yarn store, and what has prevented me from going, the first week was entirely my fault. It was sunny out and I wanted to sit on the deck, so I opted for that. Last week, we had an issue with the well that serves the barn, and so I spent a lot of time dealing with that. As far as I know, barring any other, it's not going to be sunny today. I'm not going to have that excuse. The weather has actually cooled down quite a bit. It has been rainy yesterday, and the forecast is for rain. So I'm anticipating a rather quiet weekend, but I will take you along with me and include lots of knitting. So hopefully tomorrow morning when I film, I will have some news about knit night. I'll talk to you later. Editing my podcast. And knitting, of course. Which is pretty easy because it's a working tree farm. Good morning, friends. It is Saturday, June 21st. It is my birthday, and this is part of my birthday vlog. It is pouring down rain, which we desperately need. Oh, the creek is running again. Barely. Apparently we've had quite a bit of rain overnight, because if you saw in my last podcast episode, which I think is Needle Size 5 or something like that is the title, it wasn't running at all. So this is kind of exciting. So after I feed the horses, we're gonna have breakfast. I'm gonna knit some more, drink more tea, and I'm gonna make strawberry jam. Yesterday was a beautiful day. I took pictures of a walk we went on near an estuary, and we had stopped and bought a couple flats of strawberries, local strawberries, which are very sweet. I'm gonna make jam today. And then we're gonna go out to dinner tonight. Morning, O. I'll catch up with you later. I think these guys have been trimming trees most of the day. I just turned the boys out to pasture. Odin had a good roll. Sometimes they take off at a gallop, but maybe not today. Yesterday they did. I haven't turned the fence back on, so it looked like Odin was checking that out. Well, good morning, everyone. It is June 22nd, Sunday, day 4 of my birthday weekend. Just heading out to feed the horses and stopping at the pump house to turn the well power onto the well out to the barn. It wasn't, the forecast didn't call for rain today, but clearly it is. We had planned to go for a bike ride this afternoon. I'm not entirely sure that is going to happen. My jam making was mostly successful. I got 6 pints. 1 jar didn't seal, so that's in the fridge. I don't think I would try to cook that many strawberries down. It took a really long time. I did, while I was waiting, I did make some progress keepers out of earrings that I no longer wear. Some of the earrings were made by my niece years ago when she was beading, so that was kind of fun. I also found out that I need smaller jump rings, which are the little rings that connect the piece to the clasp. So I'm gonna look for some of those. And let's see what else. Oh, I made, just kind of in a moment of inspiration, I was looking at a canning book that I have. It's called Food in Jars. I will try to put that in this when I edit it. But it's really making very small batch preserved items, and there's some good recipes in it. So I was inspired to make maybe smaller batches of like rhubarb, stuff out of rhubarb that goes well, like maybe with some goat cheese and French bread. Good morning, boys. So I got another book out that I have about bread baking. I think it's by Peter Reinhard. And I have some French bread dough, doing a cold ferment in the refrigerator. It's a yeast bread. But I may make baguettes today, since bike riding seems to be out of the question. I'll let you know. I'm gonna get to feeding. Boulder River on the White Horse, under the White Horse Trail. This is the old Borson's Mill. I don't know how long ago it was stopped in operation, but it has a lot of graffiti on it, and you can see we were just at the mill pond. That's where I took a photograph of the huts. Here are the falls. Off we go on our bike ride. Hey friends, today is the last day of my birthday vacation, and I am going to attempt to make the most of it by resisting the temptation to be perfect about anything. I have been planning to ride O today, just in the round pen, because that's really all the time I have for today. I'll talk about that later. So right now I'm going to my horse trailer to get his bridle, but I have been thinking about the many ways that the ride is not going to go right, which I think it's easy. It's easy to, what am I trying to say? It's easy to avoid doing things by being discouraging because you know they're not going to be perfect. And of course they're not going to be perfect. Why should they be perfect? They shouldn't. So I think what ultimately I'm trying to say is it might be a whole lot easier, and I may actually do more when I resist the temptation to be perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. After I ride O, I'll tell you about it, and I'll tell you what the rest of my day is going to be like. Talk to you soon. Hey friends, I just came in from riding Odin in the round pen, and I'm adjusting my footwear and making sure that I kept my expectations low, which is, I think, a lot harder than it sounds. And the reason for this is, as I mentioned on the way out to my ride on O, I think it's easy to procrastinate because, at least for me, I get busy fretting about perfection. And if it's not going to be perfect, I don't want to do it. And how can I make it perfect? And I spend a lot more time thinking about it than I actually do it. This has been on my mind for a long time. And my mom gave me a present, which is helping me think about it, because even though it's been on my mind for a long time, I have not figured out what to do about it. So Mom got me this book for my birthday. And if you can't read it, it says Meditation for Mortals, 4 weeks to embrace your limitations and make time for what counts. It's by Oliver Burkeman, who I believe is British. And the way that I initially read this was make what time you have count, which is still appropriate. It pretty much means the same thing. I suppose I'm even more conscientious about making the time that I have count because I am approaching 60. I am closer to 60 than I ever will be without actually being 60. And I suppose a birthday is a time to reflect. It's sort of like the new year. It's my personal new year. And I do want to spend my time differently. I know what I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel rushed all the time, which I think is easy to do when you have a 9-to-5 job. It's easy to feel like you're never going to catch up, because it's true. We are never going to catch up on our to-do lists. It's easy to have imposter syndrome. Like, what am I doing here? All these other people that I work with or recreate with or do whatever with are so much more qualified or have much more advanced skills than I do. And I've been pondering this idea of, the best thing that I can do is be me. No one else can be me except me. And I think this last 5 days that I have had off have made me really has given me time to really think about what it is to be me. And one thing I've realized is that the only time I really feel relaxed and like I'm not behind is while I'm knitting. And I think that's why I enjoy it so much. And I dedicate my first hours of the day to it, and I dedicate the last hours of the day to it, because it's the one time that I can really be at peace. Everything else, whether it's riding my bike, which you will have seen some footage from that, whether it's riding my horse or doing something with caring for my horses, it's like everyone else can do that better than me. That isn't entirely true, but that's the narrative, right? No matter what it is I'm doing, somebody else can do it better. And undoubtedly, that's true. The measurement, however, is, are my horses happy? Are they healthy? Are they bonded with me? And the answer is yes. I worked with Braggy. No, I worked with Odin in the round pen. I didn't take any footage of it. You've probably seen enough of me just, walking around the round pen doing these various exercises that might be hard to understand if you're not a horse person. And if you are a horse person, you might not be sure what I'm asking him to do. All that to say, when I finished riding O and took off his gear, he had a nice roll, and then I went to let both of them out into the pasture. And instead of just galloping off into the pasture, Braggy came over and wanted to connect with me. To me, that says a lot. It's very similar to the trailer loading lesson we had on Friday. Braggy got afraid of something. He was really nervous about something, but he waited for instruction rather than just bolting out of the trailer because he was scared. He knew if he waited, he would be safe and he would be told what to do. To me, that is the most critical piece of whether or not I'm doing enough. I think I'm going to end that thought there. I'm going to leave shortly to have lunch with a friend that I haven't seen in a while. And then I am probably going to spend the afternoon knitting, because that brings me great peace and great joy. I don't know if this will be the last segment of the video. I'll see what other kind of insights that I might have, but the day is rapidly approaching the end of my birthday celebration, and it has been very worthwhile and has given me a lot of thought on how to spend my days moving forward. Take care, everyone. Well, friends, I just got back from having lunch with my friend, and it's a beautiful sunny day. I think I'm going to spend it knitting on my mini mock neck tank in this pretty color. It's top down, and possibly taking a nap. See you next time.